Hi, everybody. All right, I'm going to do a story about honesty. So I'm just going to relax and we'll see what Spirit has to share. I'm looking at a person who has it's a nose made out of a wood block, and it comes straight out and it's flat on the end. We're starting to look at Pinocchio. I'm hearing the words, was Pinocchio a good boy? Was he an honest boy? Pinocchio sits as a wooden puppet. He wants to get up, he wants to run, he wants to play, but he cannot. He does not have the means to move himself. He is a wooden puppet. He is not a real boy. He longs to be a real boy to such a deep degree. He starts to manifest a heart. He starts to manifest the energy of love that then manifests change. He is not made of wood. He is made of living tissues that grant him the gift of life itself, the freedom to be, the freedom to move, the freedom to dance and sing and rejoice in life. But alas, that's only his dream. He is still merely a wooden puppet. He is sitting on a shelf waiting for his master to take him, to do things with him, to play with him, to work with him. He starts to discover he has eyes that blink. He starts to discover he can move his hands. He starts to discover he does not have to wait for his master. He starts to discover he does not have to be human in order to move and dance and sing and be. He instantly gets off of the shelf. He still has strings attached to him. He still has a stick that you could move it to make his arms move up and down, or his legs, or however you want to move him. He still has strings and this wooden piece attached to him. He doesn't need these anymore. He can move freely now. He discards them as waste. He is free. He is happy. He is a little puppet in the living room. He's a little puppet living in the living room. He's in a living room. He is alive. He's dancing. He is examining. He is moving. He is going places around the living room. He is looking at a table. He's looking at a chair. He is climbing on things. He is looking at this fireplace. He is inspecting what it all means. He is trying to walk up the wall, but he discovers there's a thing called gravity, right? He discovers he cannot walk up the wall, and he just falls on his butt. He looks at his hands. He tries to climb the wall with his hands. His fingers aren't quite correct for climbing the brick of the fireplace in order to get to the mantle. He starts to struggle with emotions because he wants things. He wants to be on the fireplace mantle. He wants to be up that high. But if he can't climb up there, how will he get up there? He is starting to think now for himself. He is pushing this table over to see if he could climb on the table and then somehow climb up the rest of the way. The table is still too short. He is stacking things on the table now. He is figuring out how to solve puzzles. Wanting turns into frustration, which turns into more wanting, which turns into solving problems. Pinocchio is a very good problem solver when he puts his heart and his mind to those things that he longs for. He is a do-it-yourself type of guy. He sits on the mantle and feels so proud of himself. He throws his hands in the air and says, "Yay, I did it! I did it! I climbed all the way up here. I'm up here now." He sits up on the top of the mantle and sees from this high perch the entire living room and into another room, down a hallway. He sees stairs. He can see so much more from up here than he can from down on the ground. If I'm down on the ground, I can only see what is right there in front of me. But if I come up here, I can see what's on the other side of the chair. It's on the what's down the hallway. What do those stairs lead to? I can see more things from up here. If I was by the chair, I couldn't see the stairs or the hallway or this front door, or I couldn't see all these other things. I must climb up higher. I want to see what's even higher up. His dream manifests into a climbing ability he didn't even know he had. Suddenly, he has no problem climbing walls. He has no problem climbing through even the roof itself. He just can walk through walls now. He's on top of the house. He's on top of the chimney now. He is flying up into the air. He is trying to reach the stars themselves. Pinocchio keeps climbing an invisible ladder into the sky. Nothing will stop him. His heart is determined. He wants to be a star. He wants to be in the stars. He wants to see what stars see. He doesn't want to just be on a shelf controlled by his master. He wants to be free, to see how far he can go, to see if he can reach the stars themselves. Spirit asks Pinocchio, "When you reach the stars, where will you go next?" He starts to cry. He starts to discover something. In all of this climbing and all of this discovery, he discovers that there's something missing. He starts to feel the heart within him longing for a reflection just like him. Someone who dreams like he dreams, who reaches stars like he reaches stars. But how come he's the only one up in the stars? How come he's the only one that cares to go so high as the stars themselves? He looks down at the earth and sees all of these people who have never dreamed to go beyond. They have no strings attached, but yet they follow a master set of rules that they have never dreamed beyond them. Pinocchio is still merely a wooden puppet, but he has gone further than those who have hearts, that have living tissues, that have a real human life. He sits in the stars and he waits for the universe to respond to what he has been thinking and feeling inside of his heart. He no longer wants to be a human being. He is happy being a wooden puppet who can dream and conquer dreams better than any living human being. He wonders if maybe there is another wooden puppet out there, just like he is, one that he could help them to see how amazing they are, just as they are. Even if they are just a wooden puppet, they are more amazing than they could ever imagine, and I will help them discover how amazing they truly are. I will be the one. He goes back to the earth. He is floating in the clouds. He is traveling across the earth. He is looking into many hearts. He is looking for the one. He is looking for his soulmate. He even looks in the most ridiculous places, like in a salt shaker, in a cupboard, under a table, on the other side of this tree, in the tree itself, in a beehive, on top of the barn, under a haystack, in the middle of a field, in the bunny rabbit hole. Where is she? Where is she? Spirit shows him, so you have conquered the love of yourself, and now you want to conquer love with another, but you cannot find her. What will you do, Pinocchio? He cries. He just gets so upset and he cries. I have tried, I can't find her anywhere. He feels so sad. He wants to give up. He feels broken. He feels confused. He feels lost. He stands up on his feet. He says, I will not give up. I will not give up. I will keep looking. I will keep searching. I will find this one. I will not give up. Spirit starts to notice his heart is changing. He's starting to learn what it is like to not get what you want so easily. To have to try very, very hard in order to find what you are looking for. He is now learning about challenge. There are times on this journey where Pinocchio wonders if he will live the rest of his life alone. He sees in his mind a dream where he is living on a mountain in a log cabin. He even smokes a pipe. He lives by moving water. It's cold in climate. He waits. He is, in his mind, much older now, still without his companion. But in this old age, he has reached a point in life where he chooses meditation, acceptance, and peace. From wanting anything, just choosing to be happy with the love that he is, with the life he has lived, with the learning he has experienced. He does not long to be in the center of the world, so to speak, in a big city, or he wants to be at peace with nature. This is a much older Pinocchio. This is a Pinocchio who is maybe 80 years old. Like an old man at the end of his days, just enjoying the peacefulness and the memories of his life. But this is merely a dream. He is still maybe a 30-year-old Pinocchio. He feels broken-hearted. He thinks about moving to the woods now. He's tired of looking for this one. If he is meant to find her, then she will appear. He feels that he has looked for long enough. Everything kind of fades to black. And he's in a room, a dark room, alone by himself, leaning up against a wall. He is bewildered and confused. He is turned to mental illness and even drug abuse, alcoholism. He crushes a bottle in his hand. He's angry. All I wanted was a companion. And I never gave up until I had no choice. I succumbed to exhaustion. I succumbed to the feeling of loss. I succumbed to confusion. I succumbed to not even knowing who I am anymore. And because of that, I don't know what else to do with myself. I will live in darkness. I will choose behaviors that are self-destructive. I will withdraw from society, not by going into nature or living on a mountain, but by destroying myself. Because if I can destroy myself, my life will be much shorter. He stays in a dark place for a long time in his own mind. In his mind, he thinks about how he reached the stars themselves. When nobody else would, nobody else could, he could do it. Only to discover he was the only one. If he is the only one, perhaps he is the only one of his kind in this entire world. Perhaps he is all there is, was, and ever will be. Perhaps there is only him. And now him is transforming and becoming so much like everybody else. Lost and confused and angry and spiteful, in a dark place, self-punishing, miserable. Again, he finds his strength. He walks away from all of these behaviors. I will not be like this anymore, he says to himself. He says to the universe, this is not the Pinocchio I am. This Pinocchio is choosing a new pathway now. This time, I'm just going to allow the universe to show me what is next. The universe shows him himself sitting in a cupboard with strings attached, waiting for his master, longing to be a real boy, longing to run around and play, longing to be an explorer, longing to discover how far you can go. He starts to break down and cry and says to the universe, I will never get those memories. I will never be that same Pinocchio ever again. How will I ever be that Pinocchio ever again? Why are you showing this to me? Why are you showing me the conqueror I once was, the dreamer I once was? I have been so broken and lost because of love itself. And when I ask you to show me the next thing, all you do is show me the Pinocchio I once was. I can't be that Pinocchio anymore. Spirit says to him, you cannot conquer ever again. You cannot choose to explore this world again. Cannot choose to try and climb higher than you ever climbed before. You cannot choose to go to the stars once more. Cannot choose to see what is beyond the stars ever again. He is thinking. He understands. He tells the spirit realm yes. Yes, I can be that Pinocchio again. I can try to climb again to the stars. But this time I will do it as a whole new Pinocchio. And if the love of my life is there or is not there, that's okay. So he goes on to be a climber again. He goes on to try it all over again. But this time he will do it differently because he is a new Pinocchio. Because life has taught him things. But that doesn't mean he has to give up on living and trying again a second time to see what might be different or not different. Pinocchio walks to the horizon feeling much like a human being. And that's the end of the story. This story is about honesty. So, what do you think? Is this a story about honesty? I'll let you decide. Alright, thank you for watching my video, and I wish you a wonderful day.